Welcome to Shining a Light Podcast. I am your host, Tabitha, and in a world where reality often blurs with the shadows of the unknown, there are stories that challenge our understanding of truth and deception. Today, we delve into the enigmatic life of Sherri Shriner, a figure shrouded in mystery and controversy. This isn't just a story, it's an exploration into the depths of belief, fear, and the power of modern myth-making. So let's shine a light together. Our story begins in the quiet corners of the internet, where whispers of otherworldly beings and secret societies lurk behind the glow of computer screens. Sherri Shriner, an ordinary woman with an extraordinary tale, claimed to have uncovered a hidden world, one that exists alongside our own but remains unseen by most. Sherri's journey into the unknown started with a single post, a message that would spark a wildfire of intrigue and fear. She spoke of reptilian beings disguised as humans walking among us with a sinister purpose. But who was Sherri Shriner, and what led her to believe in such a fantastical reality?
Hello, everybody. I just wanted to do this video. Why you should support me. Why you should support Sherri Shriner. I just want to do this short video. Just lay back, chill back, and let you know who I am. The Lord stood me up in 2001, 2002 to speak for Him, to be a mouthpiece for Him to the nations. And at the time, I thought that was crazy. I wasn't even on the internet but 4 years at that time. And so I learned HTML coding, but I made the websites myself, and that's why everyone thinks they look pretty amateur. King David was my grandfather. I am of the bloodline of David, and I was born with a calling to be a prophet, and so I stood up for that calling. And so I deal with the whole alien, UFO, underground bases. I deal with the whole issue of soul scalping. Everything around the paranormal world is on this site. I was the first one screaming. Taylor Swift had been replaced, and finally, several years later, people are catching up. If you want to know what I believe, I have that on my website at Sherri Shriner. What I believe, who I am. OrgoneBlasters.com, my Orgone War. Found a way to destroy the aliens I had learned to hate so much. And this is the New World Order that's coming, folks. The fake Jesus. That's Lucifer. This is me, my younger years. SherriTalkRadio.com.
Sherri's conviction in her extraordinary claims was not easily shaken. She described vivid encounters with beings she believed were not of this world. One of her most chilling accounts involved a late-night encounter in her own home, where she claimed to have seen shadowy figures with glowing eyes watching her from the darkness.
And my assassins come and go. I've had assassins after me since George Bush Jr. and Dick Cheney hired the #1 assassin in America.
I'm after Sherri.
And how I know this is because the assassin told me himself many years later.
How'd that happen?
Tell me. He told me all the problems he had every time he tried to kill me.
What, they had a therapy session when you failed?
Protected by the Most High. And when Obama was president, I was #2 on his death list. Chavez was #1, president of Venezuela. They finally got him with cancer. I'm still standing. Why? Because of the Most High.
For some reason, couldn't get Sherri.
2 years ago. I only got about 30% of my heart left. I get poisoned all the time.
What?
I
From the
survive it all.
McDonald's you eat?
That wear and tears your body down, I'll tell you that. I got shot in the leg about 8 years ago with a chip, one of those chip guns.
Chip gun?
And I got the chip out of my leg, but it had left poison residue inside my leg. And
Where's the picture?
Every year it flares up and it gives me problems. I think it's called toxicosis.
Right.
And so that flares up on me at times. I was dealing with that all last week. Toxicosis, cellulitis, high temperature.
Cellulitis?
Yeah,
what? What?
Sherri shared what she believed to be irrefutable evidence of a hidden world, including photographs of strange lights in the sky and cryptic symbols carved into trees. Sherri spoke of government experiments and secret societies manipulating world events from behind the scenes. As Sherri continued to post her findings online, she began to attract a small but dedicated group of followers. These early believers found solace in her words, resonating with her messages of hidden dangers and secret truths. Sherri's online presence grew, and with it, her confidence in the reality she described. As Sherri's online following grew, so did the intensity of her warnings. She described elaborate conspiracies involving world leaders, celebrities, and even her neighbors. Her tales of alien encounters and government cover-ups captivated thousands, drawing them into a web of fear and fascination.
And so what I've been trying to get you to do is prepare yourselves, because the war is on against us. They're not your friends. They don't want prayer. They don't want invited to church. They don't want God. They don't want salvation. They want to kill you. So stop being soft on evil, because that's what your church pastors have led you to be accepting of the government, to be accepting of every abuse that comes your way, to be floor mats, to be treated like garbage and be abused, and stand up for yourselves. You have one AR, go get another one. You got one box of bullets, go get another one. Get ready to defend and fight for yourselves, folks, because the war is on. And in a time of war, the Father always stood up his people to fight, not be wussies and lay down. It's not yours to just roll over dead and let the government and the UN troops that are coming in walk all over you and carry you off to FEMA camps, where they can abuse and rape and sodomize you, because they plan to. Fight back, folks. Grow a pair and get ready to fight back. You know, the Lord honors your faith when you back it up with action.
Sherri claimed that argon, a mystical energy she believed could ward off dangers posed by reptilian beings. It was the key to protection. She crafted argon trinkets and sold them to her followers, promising safety and peace of mind. Despite the skepticism from outsiders, Sherri's grift continued as she profited from the fears she had instilled in her followers. But with fame came controversy. Skeptics dismissed Sherri's claims as mere fantasy, while believers clung to her every word. Amidst the growing community of believers, two followers, Barbara and Steven Mineo, found solace in each other's company. United by their shared beliefs and a deep bond, they became prominent figures within Sherri's circle. But as their relationship blossomed, Sherri began to view their union with suspicion. The turning point came during a gathering where Sherri saw Barbara eating steak tartare. Convinced that this was proof of Barbara's reptilian nature, Sherri accused her of being a shape-shifting alien.
But then we started noticing some of the stuff she was posting on her Facebook and some of the people and associations she had in her friends list. And it was like, wait a minute, something's not right here. Something is really not right here. And when you look at her pictures, she had no light. She had no aura. She's like a dead carcass. It's like, what's that about?
A dead carcass.
And I recognized some of the names on her list, which was red flags for me because I knew they were super soldiers. And she posted this post about craving raw meat and this ghastly picture of raw hamburger meat. And I knew that was a Wiccan Satanist kind of picture. Because there's only certain types of people who crave raw meat because they crave the blood. And that's
oh, shit.
those
That's
with
me.
the vampire demon in them. And I recognized one of the names in her friend list because it was a super soldier that had been assigned to kill me several years ago.
Ties to a cult may have led to a fatal shooting in Monroe County. A woman is now in custody for shooting her boyfriend in the head.
Police say 42-year-old Barbara Rogers called 911, claiming she shot her boyfriend, 32-year-old Steven Mineo, and he was dead. Rogers told police she and Mineo were members of a cult centered on aliens and raptures, headed by a woman named Sherri Shriner.
On the night of the tragedy, Barbara, consumed by despair, committed an unthinkable act. She took Steven's life in a moment that shocked their community and left a scar on the lives of all involved. The investigation into Steven's murder revealed the depth of the turmoil that had consumed Barbara. The trial that followed was a grim exploration of the consequences of unchecked influence and the dark corners of online communities. Barbara was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, a reflection of the severity of the crime and the need for justice for Steven. The sentencing served as a stark reminder of the real-world consequences of digital harassment.
The father let me hear a conversation, but he's very upset that she killed him. He was yelling that, and I'll be very frank, he said, "That bitch killed me." You know, in some of her pictures that she posted, her eyes were in slits, and that's typical of reptilian possession. And that would give her superhuman strength. Steve couldn't get away from her. And these are things the father revealed to me, that they were both in bed, and she was looking on her phone. I don't know if she saw they were watching TV, and they were watching the Resident Evil series, which, by the way, is about super soldiers. She was sitting next to Steve, and she saw blood, and she got all excited. She just, ooh, blood, you know, and her face contorted, and that demon started manifesting in her. Okay. And Steve looked over, and he saw it, and it terrified him. He basically screamed, "Who the F you are you?" But the F you is going on. And then he yelled, "Sherri was right about you. I should have listened." And it threw her in a rage. And she jumped up at him and stood on the bed, and he yelled. I'm not going to say he screamed, but he screamed, he yelled, and he started to run to get away from her. And that thing at this point, because it was no longer her, knocked him down. And she ran and got her gun. He was in, I think, the kitchen, trying to get to wherever the door is, trying to get to the door. I think she shot him in the leg because I see him running and then fall. And then when he was on the floor, she walked up to him and he was begging for his life. He didn't want to die. And she said, "F you." And she put the gun to his head and pulled the trigger.
As the community grappled with the aftermath of Steven's murder, another tragedy struck. A young follower, deeply entangled in the web of fear and conspiracy that Sherri had spun, took their own life, leaving behind a note that spoke of the inability to escape the darkness that had consumed their thoughts. The unaliving sent shockwaves through the community, forcing many to question the path that they had been led down. It was a dark and painful reminder of the real-world consequences of Sherri's teachings. As the weight of tragedy and legal repercussions bore down on Sherri's community, the once thriving following began to dwindle. Sherri then passed away from complications relating to a long-standing illness, marking the end of an era for the community. Her death left behind a legacy of fear, manipulation, and tragedy, prompting many to reflect on the pain and destruction that had followed in her wake. The story of Sherri Shriner and her followers is not an isolated phenomenon. It echoes the patterns seen in other modern conspiracy movements, most notably QAnon and the MAGA cult. These groups share a common thread of manipulating religious scriptures and exploiting the fears and uncertainties of their followers. Each of these movements is rooted in the belief that a secret, malevolent force is at work in the world. They use religious language and imagery to lend credibility to their claims, twisting scriptures to fit their narratives of impending doom and salvation through their teachings. The parallels between Sherri's cult and movements like QAnon and MAGA highlight a dangerous trend in modern society. They remind us of the power of belief and the responsibility of those who wield it. As we reflect on the journey through Sherri Shriner's world and the echoes of similar movements, we are reminded of the complex interplay between belief, fear, and the search for meaning. The stories of those who were drawn into these webs of conspiracy and manipulation serve as cautionary tales. The legacy of these movements is a testament to the power of belief and the dangers of unchecked influence. They challenge us to remain vigilant, to question the narratives presented to us, and to seek the truth with a critical and discerning eye. This has been an interesting journey through the enigmatic life of Sherri Shriner. As we conclude today's episode, remember that the world is full of stories that hide in plain sight, and only when we shine a light do we truly see. If you or someone you know is feeling overwhelmed or having thoughts of unaliving, please reach out for help. You are not alone. In the United States, you can call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 988 to speak with someone who cares and wants to help. Additionally, if you feel you might be involved in a cult or a manipulative group and need support, there are resources available to you. Organizations like the International Cultic Studies Association offer guidance and assistance. Thank you for joining me today on Shining a Light podcast. As we wrap up this episode, I want to leave you with a glimpse of what's coming up next. Our journey continues as we delve into another complex and controversial story, one that raises important questions about ethics, responsibility, and the white savior complex.
Tonight at 6, a Bedford woman is facing disturbing allegations about her nonprofit in Uganda. Renee Bach is being sued for allegedly operating a medical facility without a license, leading to the death of hundreds of children. 10 News reporter Jessica Jewell is digging into this, and she is live in the newsroom. Jessica?
We got our hands on this copy of the lawsuit. The Women's Pro Bono Initiative and two mothers filed this civil suit in a court in Uganda, saying actions by the group, the nonprofit, serving his children, led to the deaths of their children. The allegations stirring up a firestorm of criticism, and tonight, the woman taking the heat is firing back.
Our focus is malnutrition, so we do preventative care programs and then also treatment services.
In our next episode, we'll explore the story of Renee Bach, an American missionary who traveled to Uganda with the intention of helping malnourished children. But what unfolded was far from the noble mission it seemed to be. Allegations surfaced that Bach was treating children without proper medical qualifications or the necessary qualified personnel, leading to devastating consequences. Join us as we unpack the layers of this story, examining the impact of Bach's actions and the broader implications of the white savior complex in international aid. We'll hear from experts, critics, and those directly affected by Bach's work, providing a comprehensive look at a story that challenges our perceptions of help and heroism. Don't miss our next episode, where we shine a light on the controversial story of Renee Bach and the complex issues it brings to the forefront. Until then, stay curious, stay questioning, and above all, stay kind.